Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to introduce you to our next guest. But before we do that, for anyone just joining us here, this is the journey we call Strong. We are talking to females from the ages of teenage all the way through to whatever age you are. We want to be sharing real stories about real women and real females, sharing what it's really like to be living in the 21st century. The aim is to be supporting our youth and creating global communities of strong role models. We want to turn real women into superheroes because our youth deserve to feel supported and connected by the people that they surround themselves with every day. So today we are going on a little strong journey and traveling around the world all the way to Atlanta, USA. Welcome, Jess, to our journey called Strong. I am so excited for you to be here tonight, Jess.
I'm excited as well. I had a little nerve bugs, but they're all gone now. You made me feel so comfortable.
It's so great. Just to put it into context, it is Saturday evening here in Dubai. It's about 8:15. What time is it for you in Atlanta?
It is 12:03 p.m.
Amazing.
and it is hot.
It is so, so great. So, Jess, just tell us how we met and what brings you to our episode today.
So essentially, we're both business owners on Instagram, both trying to make impacts in our communities and across the globe. And you reached out to me through Instagram about coming onto your show, and then also checking out some of your YouTube videos and interviews prior to. Once I read them, I was like, of course, I want to be a part of this. Anybody that I can reach, even if it's only one person, that's one more, woman or even man, because some men might watch this and be impacted as well. So I was excited. I was so honored that you asked me.
I'm so thrilled to have you here. And you're right, men are part of the journey. And in fact, we had our very first male give us some tips for teens not too long ago. Season 2 will be bringing, season 2 will be bringing Boys to Men onto the show as well. But in season 1, we're focusing on being female and helping our female youth, but of course, fathers out there watching, boys out there watching, brothers, fathers, employers, boyfriends, husbands. Of course, we want them watching the show as well and giving them an insight into how to support the females in their lives. So let's start right at the beginning, Jess.
Okay.
Introduce us to who Jess is.
So Jess is 28. She is single. She is a business owner as well as a financial project manager for a Fortune 500 company. I'm a fur mom. My little baby is a Boston Terrier, Chihuahua mix, Leo. And I'm just loyal. I'm passionate about everything that I do. I'm adventurous. I love ziplining in my truth at this stage of my life.
That is so, so great. What's it like to be you, though, on a typical day? You know, if we were to follow you around on a very typical day, what would that be like?
Yeah, well, if you follow me on a typical day, please keep up because it is busy. I'm typically up around like 6:30, 7 a.m. Exercising already, meditating before I go into the office. I'm working at 8 to 5. Like I said, I'm a project manager, so I do that throughout the day. By the time I get off, it's literally full speed ahead. I get home, I got to feed Leo, take him out for his walk. For those fur parents out there, these dogs do not care about how your day was. They want to see you. They want to play with you. They want to love on you and lick you. So you have to give him the attention that he deserves. And then I'm off to the gym. I am working on my business. I am, trying to find me time. So I'm trying to catch up on my shows, and just hanging out with the people that I love.
How do you go from day to night? How do you go from role to role? What are some of the strategies you've gained being so young and yet being so busy?
Yeah, I would say time management. I plan almost everything. Anybody who knows me knows I plan. I plan A, B, C, D, E. I'm always planning and I'm always modifying. So I think that that's really what helped me is having that plan. Sometimes it doesn't always go that way, but at least I know, okay, at 5, I'm doing this, or at 6:30, I'm doing this, just to kind of keep me on track.
So tell me about what it's like to be a female in the US, because I know that a lot of our youth here in the Middle East, they aspire to go there. They aspire to study there. They aspire to live there and kind of be part of that system. And sometimes what we see is when they get there, they're not really ready for that world global difference, the cultural difference. So what would you say is your experience being in the US, and what kind of tips can you give a young person aspiring to study or come and work and live there?
So, the first thing I would say is make sure that you find a mentor or a coach. I think that was one of the mistakes that I made earlier in my career. I was a little hard headed, as most teenagers are, and I didn't really utilize the network around me. Um, so I think that if they want to come, then they have to definitely, reach out, kind of put themselves out there a little bit to allow people to help them. I think that's one thing. Being female as well, it is a little harder. I think people tend to say, "Oh, you're using that as an excuse," but it's the reality that we live in. From the wage gap, in terms of the pay, a woman can be doing the same job as a man and get paid less. She can be more qualified for a leadership role, but still not get it just because she's female. So I would say, reach out, network, and then also just work hard, and don't give up. I think sometimes, we tend to be a little harder on ourselves to a degree that we feel like we should be somewhere where we aren't, but we just really have to dig in, do the work, um, and I think everything will come into fruition.
I know a lot of young girls, particularly when they're in the process of discovering what they want to be doing, as they're starting to get from, middle teenage years to about those university years. How did you know what you wanted to do, Jess? How did you decide what you wanted to do?
Let me tell you, Maria. So I went through about 10 different jobs. So that I may not be the best person to ask because I literally, so when I was a little girl, I said I wanted to be Barbie. I know this sounds crazy. I said I wanted to be Barbie. And I said, Barbie has her dream house. She has Ken. She can change her outfit. She has the mansion. I'm going to be Barbie. So, of course, that's not a real job. So they're like, okay, Jess, let's try something else. What do you want to be? And I said, okay, well, I think I want to be a vet, right? Because I've always loved animals. My mom never let us have pets. So I was like, yeah, I can be a vet because I can be around dogs and cats, everything. Um, I didn't realize how much school and how much debt you were going to be in. So then I said, and basically I switched from numerous different career choices. And then I went to Payne College. It's an HBCU in Augusta, Georgia. And my first year, my freshman year, you can take the electives. And I had a counselor there, and she said, well, Jess, I think that you're so relatable. And I'm thinking, never heard somebody tell me that before, but I think it's a compliment. So where can we go with that? And she said, maybe you should counsel, others. Maybe you should do some type of therapy. And I said, I don't know, because, growing up where I was from, nobody went to counselors, nobody went to therapy. We didn't, we saw it, but we didn't participate. And so I said, well, maybe not. I may not want to do that. And because I love math so much, I kind of went the accounting route. But then I did miss the relational piece, talking to people, being free, like how we're talking now and really impacting others.
Mhm.
And that's when I decided, okay, let me get my degree in psychology, sociology, so that I can then, counsel. And I now coach, I now life coach, in addition to me being a financial project manager. So I'm getting in both ends of the spectrum. Just one is my own business and the other I'm working for someone else.
That's so great. So what's your tip for, because I know that teenage girls are really, really afraid of making the wrong choice. They're afraid of making a choice, and sometimes procrastinating is something that they'll tend to do because they're almost so scared that they're going to make that wrong choice. You talked about, getting a coach or getting a mentor, and you said you wish that was something that you would have done. What kind of advice, because now you're in that position, you are a role model, you are a mentor. So what kind of advice do you wish you could have given your younger self about taking those chances and not feeling afraid of making that mistake?
Ooh, I think, like you said, just being okay with not knowing. I think that oftentimes we have these societal pressures. Like you said, hey, you go to college, you need to know what you want to do. You're not really able to experience what other things are out there. So I think it's truly just living and just being okay with not knowing. That's kind of, I think, the bottom line. Sometimes you just don't know and you have to really go through the motions in order for you to figure it out. So I would say just don't let people put you on a timetable. Really live through that journey, go through those mistakes, because that's the only way that you're going to truly know that this is something that you want to do. Now that I've gone through the other courses, I know now I couldn't do that. And I'm okay. I'm okay with choosing this route. But I think that if I would have been pressured, I probably would have been like a math teacher, and I don't think I would have been happy doing that.
Okay. So what do you do when nobody's watching, Jess?
Ooh, so I do crossword puzzles. Nobody believes that, but I do crossword puzzles. I love even the ones on your phone, like the words with friends. Um, I like doing those too.
And when you think about Jess, the future, where she's heading and what she wants to be doing, what do you imagine yourself to be aspiring to become or to do, or to just, you think, wow, I can't wait because, and what would that be?
Yeah, so I really think it is all a part of my business. So I really want to see Jess Moves grow. I want to reach others. I want to reach younger girls, catch them a little earlier. Like I just said, I didn't have anybody there to help guide me. I had parents, but they didn't go to college. um, my family, we didn't have any entrepreneurs. We didn't know business owners. We didn't know what those things were. And it wasn't until I got to college that I learned those things. And so I think if I can catch them earlier, then I think that it'll help somebody. And like I said, if only one person, goes through and says, hey, like I went through a Just Moves program and now I know what I want to be, or hey, I went through a Just Moves program and now that I had a mentor, I'm mentoring someone else. Everybody's going to pay it forward. That's really where I see that excites me, is really seeing this expand and seeing it grow.
So
So
what would,
today is that one.
yes, it is so exciting. What would Jess, 14-year-old Jess, want to get through if she was part of Jess Moves?
So I think 14-year-old Jess would probably want to get through the mental piece. Just having someone there to talk to not really judge her, and to understand the place that she was in her life.
What place was that?
Just unknown. I mean, I was so lost as a child. I didn't really fit in to a lot of the groups in school. um, I guess, you have the popular kids and you have the nerds and you have, just the different groupings. In school, I never really fit in one and I didn't really understand why.
Hmm.
Um, and so I just had a struggle with that. I didn't really talk much. I had a speech impediment. I stuttered really bad. And so it just, like I said, I was just going through so many things and then just going through puberty. You don't know what your body is doing. You have no clue why I woke up yesterday looking like this and I wake up tomorrow looking like that. So
Mhm.
I think just having somebody there to talk to, I mean, that I think that really would have helped me. I didn't know to journal then, or therapy, or whatever other options were out there. So I just wish that I could be there to talk to her, to listen to her, to kind of help guide her and let her know, like, it's okay to not fit in. A lot of the rich people, they don't fit in either, and look at them now.
And
But,
that's so true. And I know that my own daughter probably struggled with fitting in, and I see my 14-year-old daughter, and working in education, I do see that teenagers really struggle to fit in, but at the
mm,
same time they kind of want to stand out too. It's finding the balance between the two.
exactly.
What would you say would have been your biggest challenge growing up after you got through the stage of realizing I'm finding it hard to fit in, but then you kind of found your way out of it? What would you say had been your biggest challenge after that?
I think just knowing the path. Um, the first part is really realizing that this is where you are, and then the second piece is taking that step and really deciding, okay, now I want to do something different. How do I go about that? So it almost leads back into what you mentioned about, girls wanting to come to the US and make a better life for themselves. You're at that place where now you want to do it, but who do you go to? Where do you start? um, that in itself can make you want to quit, and you just you have to know and be confident in where you're going, and just take it day by day.
That is a really big challenge, isn't it? It has a lot to do with accepting that we're not always in control over what's going to happen.
And that's tough.
It
It's
is
very tough,
so
especially for
challenging.
somebody like me, because I go stir crazy if I don't know what's going on. I want to know the beginning, I want to know the middle, I want to know the end. And you have to be okay with not knowing sometimes, but like you said, just trusting, having a good circle. I have a wonderful circle of friends now, and I can go to them and say, hey, you know some of my friends are in my same age group, and then some are not. But we can all collaborate across the groups and just say, like, hey, this is where I'm at. I don't really think I'm okay, and I don't really know, and that safe place is what I think a lot of people don't have, and that's sad.
What does it feel like to have a group of friends that you know, I can take the mask off, I can just be Jess? And sometimes Jess might be the best person to be around, and other times might be really difficult to be around Jess because we're human and we have those transitions and I think we call them our moods and our mood swings. But
Mhm.
talk to us about what it feels like, because I think as well when I speak to young girls, I almost I almost I almost understand that they're not quite sure what that group should what it should be like to be in that group. And I think sometimes they fantasize what a friend should be like for them. And
Mhm.
it's important that we are helping them to understand that friendship doesn't always mean that they're going to be cheering you on. Sometimes they're going to be questioning the things that you do. So talk to us about your safe friendship and what it feels like to be part of that group.
So, just to take a step back, growing up, I did not think the way you just said. And I thought a friend was someone who everything I do, doesn't matter what it is, you should have my back. And if you don't, I'm like mad at you,
Yeah.
and that's a very immature approach, but it's very honest. I felt like I needed people in my corner who rooted me on, and my thought of rooting me on was, hey, I'm going to do this, you come to, or if I do this, then you're going to always agree. And it took me really losing a lot of friends, one, and two, making really bad decisions because I had people around me who were not honest with me. So I talk about, being from Atlanta, but, specifically from Riverdale. Anybody who knows that area is not necessarily the best, right? So you come out of a place there, then you go to a HBCU where it's so many different personalities. They don't know you. They don't really care, so to speak, about hurting your feelings. And sometimes you need that harsh reality. You need that wake up to say, okay, maybe I'm not doing something right here, or maybe I'm not thinking correctly here. Um, so that's kind of the backstory to how I developed the friends that I have now. I started to go to classes, and my very best friend, I talk to her every single day, and we, started to hang out. And she really introduced me to having friends that were older, that were younger, that came from, different circles. I only knew people from Riverdale, so we all went through the same things. We didn't know about, I don't know, like finance. We didn't know about,
Yeah.
working. We just didn't really know a lot. And so when I started to, go into the circles that she had, I didn't necessarily fit in with them, but I started to understand the idea. So I started to network more, like through my gym and through my church. And I said, okay, I kind of like having people who don't think like me. Now, along that journey, I did meet people who didn't think like me, and I just didn't really want to be around them. But then I also met people who I said, wow, I can really learn from them. And I think up until that point, I was always the smartest person in the room, so to speak. And that's a very bad place to be in, honestly, because I was so comfortable in that room. I didn't want to go to another room. But then once I got to the other room, it really helped me grow and mature. And I'm still maturing. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. But to your point, when I go to my circle of friends now, they don't judge me. They don't make me feel less than if I do something wrong. Sometimes they're able to give me different options, so that I don't do it again. And then sometimes I don't really want an option. I just really want to vent, and I want someone to just listen to me. And I think that it's a freeing feeling,
Mm.
because there's so many out there that don't have that. And I think that that's what causes a lot of the depression. It causes a lot of the suicide. They don't have that person, even one person, you know um, that's outside of your family, that will be unbiased and will be honest with you. So I say it's just freeing. It makes me feel very happy that I know that no matter what I go through, they will be there, and not just to promote the negative, but to celebrate the positives, and just to love me unconditionally, no matter what, and make me better.
That is so beautiful. Jess, what would you say now, being Jess who you are today? What has been the hardest challenge that you've had to overcome this far in your life?
The hardest thing professionally was starting to work into a corporate America environment, and really understanding how to move up, and just how to be professional, how to start that career and create that, legacy. I think personally, the hardest thing that I had to overcome was, really not really fitting in, even with some of my family members. Like, my family is really small, and I don't know, like, my mom's side of the family. And with my dad's side of the family, there was a lot of tension because my mother is not from the United States. So, there was just a lot of conflict there. And I think I just had to overcome that challenge of kind of not fitting in at home, kind of not fitting in at school, and then still pushing forward and pushing through to then become the person that I am today.
That must have been quite a journey for you.
It was, and really it still is, because I see so many people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to my grandmother's house," and I didn't have that growing up, or, "Hey, this is my cousin." I'm like, I don't know my cousins. It's it's hard to live in, and it's hard to explain to people, because people are like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But I mean, that's the reality for a lot of people. Their friends become their family, and that's kind of what's happened with me. I'm close to some of my family members, of course, but I don't know a lot of them. Like, if I passed them, I wouldn't know that they were, and that's hard.
How did you get through it? What would you say were your strategies, your go-to tips for, because you not only described the usual being a teenager trying to fit into peer groups and find their place, or in a school setting, in a friendship setting, but you've also talked about coming from a family where mom and dad were from different places, and really trying to identify with who you are and where you fit in, not only at school but also at home. So that just sounds like quite the journey, being really young
Yeah.
and getting through that. What would you say helped you get through it without giving up?
So honestly, journaling. Um, I would write. I've always had diaries, and I would just write out my thoughts because I would be so depressed, And that was before I really knew what depression was. When you're a teenager, the teens now are way smarter. I'll say that. They have a lot more technology than we did growing up. So I didn't really know what depression was. I just knew I was sad a lot, and I didn't feel like I could really talk to anyone. The age difference too with my siblings and I grew up by myself, even though I have siblings. It's just the ages were so far apart. So I really would journal. I would write out my thoughts every day, multiple times of the day. If I felt, a feeling, if I felt happy, just anything, I would write it out because keeping it bottled in wasn't doing anything but really making me cry and just be sad. And I didn't necessarily want to feel that way. So I think journaling, I mean, prayer, of course, I think a lot of people pray and they, find solace in talking to God. And I do as well. But I think that a more instantaneous relief just for me was writing.
That's really beautiful. So when you do the journaling, and I'm assuming you're still journaling now as you're getting through, because the age that you're at, 28, that
Mhm.
is also a who am I kind of a stage.
Yes,
It really
yes,
is.
Maria. It's tough. Yeah, because, like I said, I'm at a stage where I'm single. I just got out of a 3-year relationship. And so I've been single now for a year and a half, but that's still new. And I don't have children, so I get the questions, hey, why don't you have kids? Can you have kids? Like, and I think people aren't really sensitive to that topic, because I know a lot of women that can't even have children. So if you ask someone why they don't have them, it can strike a chord in them, an emotional chord. um, I'm also at the place where should I own a home? I literally yesterday was shopping to see, like, hey, Jess, are you ready to take that next step? I mean, 30 is a pivotal point, and if you round it, I'm there, and you do go through days where you're like, am I doing the right thing? Could I be doing more things? Just kind of where to go. So, like you said, 28 is very difficult, but I do still journal. I journaled this morning. Even if I don't always think about the right way to say it. Sometimes words are misspelled. Sometimes the writing looks jumbled, but I just need to get the thoughts out. And so I still do it.
Jess, I love that you talked about what it's like to be you right now, because it's important to remember that we're not just here to help teenagers, we're here to help everybody. And by
Right,
helping, we're here to normalize what it's really like to be who we are, when we are, and where we are right now. So
right.
let's talk to those women in your age group, and I know that I look back at being your age and I think, wow, I remember being that age, and I remember not having a clue about
Mm-hmm.
what was going to come next. And and I remember being asked, "What's your 5-year plan?"
Yeah.
And I didn't have an answer for it, and it actually didn't bother me that I didn't. But now that I look back and I think, it's almost like I was blindfolded and I walked myself through the future. Would you
Mm-hmm.
say that it's similar right now being 28 in 2020, or would you say that being 28, young women your age are a little more prepared, or they're they're being told that they have to be more prepared?
Well, so yeah, I definitely think so because the technology has advanced now. I think that we have a lot more first for women, and so I think we have those role models. Not to say that they weren't there then, but just in the world that we're in currently, your phone is literally a step away, not even a foot away. And if you want to know something, you can Google it. You can ask Siri. That wasn't there in place years ago. So I think, yeah, the women now are a lot more prepared. And I think that there's a lot more coaches out there and motivational speakers like yourself who are reaching out to the young women to say, hey, even though you may not know that you need help, let me still help you. You may not know where you want to go. That's okay, but let me help guide you. You're not fitting in school. You're worried about body image. Like, let me encourage you. And so I think that that's the main difference. It's that technology piece. So it helps you be more prepared and it helps you reach people that you never would have even met.
Amazing. You're so right. You're so, so right. Jess, what's your biggest fear when you think about the future now? When I tell you, if I were to ask you, Jess,
Mhm.
10 years from today, when I meet you again, what do you want to be achieving? What would you say is your biggest fear thinking that far into the future?
So I think my biggest fear, honestly, is being married. Sometimes I struggle because I really want my business to thrive. I really want my career to take off. And I've just seen so many strong women who I'm like, man, she's amazing. She's running her own business. She's traveling all over the world. She looks great, but she's not married and she doesn't have kids. So not to say that being married and having children defines you, but I just think that my biggest fear is that one will suffer because the other is succeeding. So
That is so true. It is, isn't it? And still being 2020, we still have the dilemma of being a superhero, being a Wonder Woman.
mm, mm,
But tell me what you think about when you think I'm going to look back at myself one day. I'm going to read my journals again and I'm
mm,
going to see the younger version of me. Tell me
mm.
what you think you want to be looking back at and saying to yourself.
So I think I'll probably look back and say, man, like she got knocked down a lot of times, but she got back up. And just look back and see how resilient I am and how driven I am. Like I said, I'm the first in my family to go to a HBCU. I'm the first in my family to join a sorority. I'm the, first in my family to be a business owner. There's a lot of firsts that I'd never, if you asked me at 14, if I was going to life coach somebody with all the drama and the issues I had, I would have said, chat, no, like that's not me, it's not me. But now that I'm doing it each day, I'm so fulfilled and I'm just so thankful that I did not give up. And I still won't give up. I'm at a wonderful place, but I have so many other things that I want to do, and I have so much time left, God willing, that I really want to keep, just keep going. So, yeah, I think I look back and be like, dang, girl, like you're doing it. You did it, even though you didn't have the normal route, that other people had. You didn't let it define you, and you kept going. You kept a smile on your face, and you were always positive and laughing. Um, I think I would be proud now, to look back and see that.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I can't wait to see how far you've come,
Yeah,
when we're looking back. I will be looking back at this one day going, I'm so excited to find out what she's doing. Okay,
yeah,
Jess,
and say that you interviewed me first.
definitely. I'll be like, Jess, remember me?
No,
All right.
I'm saying you remember me. Remember me?
So, Jess, this is the part of the interview where we talk about strong being here for the community, the global community, because my aim really is that we travel around the world and we are in everybody's dining room, kitchen, part of that conversation that parents and children have, couples are having, educators are having, the
Mm.
real conversations about real life, but it's also about supporting our guest. So, Jess, how can we as a community support you on your strong journey?
So, so fun. I thought about that. So I really think that what would help will be just to continue to, invite me to the things that you have going on. I'm a people person. If you can't tell already, I'm very extrovert. I've always tested extrovert, and so I love being around other people who are doing positive things. So I think that again, inviting me to be a panel speaker, to get on lives with you, to mentor some other people within the community, get a mentor. I think just keeping me in your radar, I think would really help, because like we just said, a lot of people don't have that. They don't know somebody who's doing positive things. I've never been to Dubai. I would have never met you, but I'm so happy that I did. I'm so thankful that you asked me to do this, and I think that that could be something that not only would help me but would help others.
I'm so excited, and definitely, Jess, so many ideas. I'm definitely going to be talking to you more about them. But I am so excited. It was so wonderful talking to you, Jess, and I
Yeah,
hope that everybody out there watching this today can understand the world is such a small place.
it is.
Who knew that I would be able to have this interview with you? I never would have guessed, but I'm just
Mhm.
so excited that I did, and I feel very, very blessed that you agreed to be on the journey with us. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming, and thank you everyone for watching. Anyone just tuning in right now, I am so happy that you've joined us. Strong is a journey of connecting females in season 1 from all over the world. We want to be surrounding our youth with strong role models, everyday people that are going to become the superheroes to ensure that our youth feel supported on their journeys of life. So this brings us to the end of another wonderful episode. I look forward to seeing you all next week when we bring another amazing guest. Thank you for watching, everybody.